Shout it. I want the glove compartment filled with Mars bars, wine gums and jelly babies. But enough about my personal rider. I'm Stephen Archibald and welcome to my TV podcast. Hello and welcome to my podcast, They Came From Within, a cult television review. The Sweeney, such a popular 1970s cop show, so much so that it's name-checked in terrific pop songs by Kate Bush and Squeeze. Wow, and Cool for Cats, to be more precise. Regan and Carter, the most iconic crime-busting duo, along with the professionals Bodie and Doyle, to emerge on British TV in that decade. Even to this day, it's regularly shown on ITV4 in the UK. And this isn't just down to nostalgia. Its gritty, pacey storylines stand up well, even though the show's set in a social landscape long gone. The late, great John Thaw starred as Detective Inspector Jack Regan, a tough Mancunian who had little time for the bureaucratic side of the Metropolitan Police. And the splendid, dearly missed Dennis Waterman portrayed his sidekick, Detective Sergeant George Carter, a somewhat naive but highly capable policeman who wasn't quite as strong-armed as Regan. The Sweeney began life as a feature-length drama entitled Regan. It was part of ITV's anthology series known as Armchair Theatre and was broadcast on the 4th of June 1974. The third significant character in The Sweeney was Detective Chief Inspector Frank Haskins, Regan's immediate superior, a by-the-book individual who was firm but fair. Haskins was portrayed by Garfield Morgan. Garfield had already played a Detective Chief Inspector in the first series of the BBC police drama Softly Softly in the 1960s. A talented character actor, Morgan appeared in such shows as The Avengers, The Saint, The Persuaders and Randall and Hopkirk, and usually was cast as a villain. Garfield Morgan passed away from cancer at the age of 78 on the 5th of December 2009. In supplying the script for Regan, The Sweeney was created by Ian Kennedy Martin. However, due to creative differences with the show's producer, Ted Childs, Ian did not remain on the project. Ironically, his older brother Troy was among the team of talented writers who provided the hard-hitting scripts, the main others being Trevor Preston, Ranald Graham and Roger Marshall. We also have Ian Kennedy Martin to thank for John Thaw being the tenacious Jack Regan. The two men had become friends, working together on a 1960s military police drama called Red Cap. Ian had written the Regan pilot with the full intention of having John as the lead. There were 53 episodes of The Sweeney, spread across 4 series. It began on the 2nd of January 1975 and ended on the 28th of December 1978. The show got off to a cracking start with an episode called Ringer, in which we were privileged to witness 2 great villainous performances from the acting heavyweights Ian Hendry and Brian Blessed. As pointed out before, The Sweeney's forte was the depiction of tough, realistic action. Even so, once in a while, it could veer off into comedy. For example, Diana Dawes was great as the brassy Mrs. Ricks in the Series 4 opener, Messengers of the Gods. And that wonderful duo, Morecambe and Wise, were good value in another Season 4 episode entitled Hearts and Minds. But here's some wonderful dialogue shared between John and Dennis in the pilot episode Regan.
How's division suiting you?
Huh?
How's division suiting you?
It's all right.
Whoops. Working for Mr. Castle?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he's a mate. He owes me a few favours. You hear about Sergeant Carley?
Yeah, did hear something. Didn't he get beaten up?
Badly.
How badly?
Very. You know him?
No, not really. Joined the squad a month before I left.
He was onto the Mallory mob. Now listen, you know more about South London than any skipper in the force, George. I need you.
I can't leave Mr. Castle.
Not even for about 2 weeks. Now, you know that other villain, Tusser, right?
Tusser, like, yeah, I grew up with him.
Mallory and Tusser are warring. I think Carley walked in the middle of it. He was worked over and accidentally hit by a car, but he took a big hiding. Now, I need your knowledge, George. If I can square it with Mr. Castle, okay? Okay?
Look, Mr. Regan, I worked for you for 18 months, right? And now I work for Mr. Castle. The hours are regular and the wife's happy. And I'm up for a promotion. Well, not only that, quite frankly, I didn't like your methods very much.
Would it take a lot of courage to say that?
No, not really.
It is said that Dennis Waterman got the role of George Carter on the strength of the performance he gave in an episode of the crime drama Special Branch. The Season 4 episode, called Stand and Deliver, which went out on the 7th of March 1974. This episode, and the next one of Special Branch, share a few rather neat ironies. Stephanie Turner, who also appears in Stand and Deliver, played Carter's wife Alison in The Sweeney, and in the 14th of March episode of Special Branch, called Something About a Soldier, we have appearances from Garfield Morgan and a certain Rula Lenska, whom Dennis went on to marry. They were wedded between 1987 and 1998. Small world, eh? The Sweeney was also renowned for its earthy dialogue and darkly comic one-liners, such as, "We're the Sweeney, son, and we haven't had any dinner. The hairs on my wooden leg tell me that something is up. I'm going to come down on you so hard, you're going to have to reach up to tie your shoelaces." And of course, the most famous line of all, "Get your trousers on, you're nicked." What's interesting is that Jack Regan only said it once, in the pilot episode. What's more intriguing is that, like the celebrated infamy line from Carry On Cleo, the trousers line, so to speak, actually originated from another source. It comes from a Series 4 episode of Special Branch entitled Date of Birth. As proof of the show's quality and popularity, many famous people appeared in it. John Hurt, Julian Glover, Joss Ackland, Geraldine James, June Brown, Ray Winstone, and Leslie Ann Down being among them. And 3 years before he would team up with Dennis Waterman to star in another ITV hit show called Minder, George Cole guest starred in the Series 3 episode entitled Tomorrow Man. Returning to everyone's favourite hard man, Ray Winstone, he starred in the underrated 2012 big screen reboot of The Sweeney, alongside Ben Drew and Hayley Atwell. As you no doubt know, there were 2 Sweeney movies made for the cinema during the height of the TV series' success. The first eponymous film was made in 1976, and the follow-up, simply called Sweeney 2, came out in 1978. Both of these movies were produced by Euston Films, This subsidiary of Thames Television also produced a TV programme, as well as the third series of Vandervalk and the fourth series of Special Branch. Euston Films also produced the whole of Danger UXB, Minder and Riley Ace of Spies. They were also noted for shooting their products on 16mm film to give their dramas a more realistic look. The Sweeney's influence on the crime drama genre is incalculable, and it certainly featured at least two actors who went on to become icons of the force themselves. The Bill's rough and ready DCI Frank Burnside, and the charismatic but seriously dodgy Don Beach, portrayed by Chris Ellison and Billy Murray respectively. Another integral part of the show was its theme tune, which was composed by the jazz pianist Harry South. Each episode took around 10 working days to make, and West London, as well as southeast areas of England, were used as filming locations. I'm Stephen Archibald, and thank you for listening to my podcast, They Came From Within. If you've liked what you've heard, and you want this podcast series to continue, you can support me by simply listening to, or downloading for free, other episodes of They Came From Within, from iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, or whichever site you prefer. Oh, and feel free to like or leave comments. Thanks again for listening. Take care, and bye-bye for now.